Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. And I know that sometimes my content can come off a little bit negative because I kind of take people inside the antiques and collectibles trade and I kind of show them that it's really not all that it appears to be. There's a lot of people at the upper echelons of the trade that are pretty much just pulling the strings like puppet masters, manipulating these markets and making them move in a certain direction. And unfortunately, because we're dealing in objects that have either historical significance or heavy nostalgia or some type of emotional attachment to the people that adore these particular items, a lot of the people are blinded to not realize what is happening right under their own eyes. And if they would take a step back and they would just analyze these markets from that standpoint, they would be much better off. And I know lately on this channel, I talk an awful lot about this particular phenomenon that's been happening for decades now in the overall antiques and collectibles trade. But it just seems, especially as we are in the year 2022, where everything almost was in some type of bubble, it looks like that collectibles are really going in a direction that kind of scares me. And I've been very honest with this over this channel to the point where this is going to end badly for a lot of people out there. And my heart goes out to any of you that are going to be dramatically affected if we do have a market downturn. You know, right now, if you look at what's happening in the stock market, if you look at what's happening right now in certain other asset classes, there has been a downturn in those markets. And that's par for the course. You know, I've said this before, no asset class can go up exponentially forever or for the long term. It doesn't work like that. There's peaks and valleys. That's why when we analyze a stock market, we do so from looking towards the past and analyzing the returns over a certain amount of time. Nobody's trying to predict the future in the stock market. People just tell you, stay the course. And that is excellent advice if you are investing in index-based mutual funds. The problem is, there's also people that tell you to stay the course in the collectibles marketplace. And that's where I kind of have to disagree with a lot of those individuals. Well, we're not going to get too involved in this particular video. But what I do want to talk about is, you know, I said, the next big thing in collecting, even before this article premiered in Antique Trader, is going to be graded VHS movies. Well, now it would appear CGC, Comics Guarantee Corporation, just like they're looking to get into graded video games, they're going to be grading VHS movies, VHS tapes, factory sealed, of course. Now, you guys know my opinion on this particular market. I'm not really a fan. It's not for me. I have no disrespect towards the people that do collect these particular items. I have no disrespect towards the people that really want this to be a thing. But again, guys, I just want you to use your head because I am sure now with AFA already moving in this particular area, with other grading companies getting involved, with Antique Trader putting this collecting market right on top with a picture of Jay Carlson from Heritage Auctions, we all know where this is going to go. And that's not a knock at any of those companies, any of those individuals. I want to make that very clear. I'm just saying it's almost like the overall antiques and collectibles trade no longer belongs to the average collector anymore. And I'm going to be very honest with you. That really upsets me in a way. As much as I talk about collectible finance, as much as I'm educated in finance, business, economics, and also antiques and collectibles, by and far, part of me misses the time when I was the naive Timmy back in the 1980s, back in the 1990s when I was just learning about how these markets work. I honestly wish that I could go back to that particular point in time and just reconnect with my former self. Because I would love to just go through life sometimes where I don't see everything that I see on such a deep level, where I could just look at the market and go, oh, okay, that Nintendo game's selling for $500 or $1,000, while the one over here that's factory sealed, it's selling for 20 grand. Must be a really cool game. Someone must really like it. Rather than knowing that it's not only demand that is propping up these items, it's also artificial scarcity. It's market manipulation. And this is what really hurts me as we go forward, especially looking at what's happening right now with comic books. You know, I've talked about this before on this channel. If you go back just 3 years ago and you look at the market for CGC graded comic books, they were not this high. We are talking returns in certain instances in the hundreds of percent range, in the thousands of percent range in certain key issue comics. And it's just going to be interesting if this market can hold. You know, recently, Andy Warhol painting, he did Marilyn Monroe. And of course, he did it in his signature style. And the painting was valued at anywhere from $200 to $250 million. And there's a lot of dealers out there in the high-end art world that thought the painting would break $300 million. Well, lo and behold, it ended at auction for $195 million. And I was honestly going to do a separate video on this, but there's a lot of people, when I do videos on high-end art, there's just a lot of my audience really isn't interested. It's only like 10% of my audience that watches those videos. If you do want to see more videos on high-end art, let me know in the comment section below, just so I know to put those videos in the production. I've been putting them on hold for that reason. But where I'm going with this is, it's kind of interesting because that particular piece, that Andy Warhol Marilyn Monroe piece, broke auction records even at $195 million. It became one of the most expensive pieces paid for a piece of American contemporary art, especially from an artist like Andy Warhol. And it's kind of interesting to me that galleries, art critics, collectors, dealers alike were like, no, it can go higher, as if $195 million, a record-breaking price, wasn't enough. And that's really where we are in the antiques and collectibles trade in the year 2022. We're sitting here, it's all and everything bubble, guys. And I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to get really concerned. And I'll be very honest, in certain markets, I've said this before, I'm pulling back. And it's kind of sad because I did want to get back into buying, collecting, and investing in higher end CGC graded comic books. But at present time, I'm just taking a wait and see attitude. And you know, I hate to say this, I don't want this video to be negative. This is not a knock against CGC because they're getting into grading VHS movies whatsoever. They got to do what benefits them. If there's a collecting market, if there's people that want to pay a premium for that, let them. But the advice that I'm going to give you guys is just use caution. Don't bet the farm. You don't have to go all in. You can take your time. You can see where the market's going to go. Let's be realistic. In the run-up in collectibles prices in the last couple of years, yes, it's true. They can go even higher. There's no guarantee that they're not going to. There's no guarantee that they are. But at the same token, just use your own common sense and judgment. Be very careful getting into markets that are this inflated. And I do want to state one more thing, now that we're 8 minutes into this video, and most of the Timmys, Kimmys, and Poindexters already turned the video off. I will tell you guys that if the uncertainty that we're seeing in the financial markets, if that holds, if this becomes a thing going in further into 2022 and it stretches into 2023, maybe we hit recession long before that, I'm going to tell you, it's going to spread to other asset classes. You know, I don't mean to be a dick when I say this, but I've always warned you guys about cryptocurrency. And if you look at cryptocurrency right now, specifically Bitcoin, you're going to see Bitcoin does not have the reverse correlation with the stock market that a lot of you thought. The stock market's falling, so is Bitcoin falling. There is a related pullback in those markets. A lot of you guys have come to me and said, Sean, the reason why that the collectibles market is accelerating in pace is because it's related to gains in cryptocurrency. Well, we're looking at a potential scenario here where not only is there going to be any growth in the overall economy, in the overall stock market, but also cryptocurrency isn't doing well either right now. It's only a matter of time, if this continues, that it's going to spread to the collectibles marketplace. And you guys that doubt me for all these videos that I put out year after year now on YouTube, I'm telling you, we're going to get to a point where there is going to come a correction in these markets. And a lot of you guys that are putting all your money in the collectibles, in the cryptocurrency, dating crazy chicks, you're going to learn it's a house of cards that is going to crumble. Please, I urge all of you. I don't like to sound negative or video after video on this particular YouTube channel, but please use caution if you are getting into these markets right now. I'm going to state it. I have the luxury of being educated not only in the antiques and collectibles trade, but also finance. There's a lot of you out there that are falling for market manipulation. You're falling for tricks where if you took the time to read some of the books that I recommend on this channel, you would learn to recognize what you're seeing in the market right now, in most cases, is anything but organic. Please use caution. Now is a good time. I'm going to just state this. If you're sitting on a massive, valuable collection, whether it's comic books, video games, Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, if it's almost any pop culture collectible right now, it is soaring in value. You would be better off going through your collection and just looking. If there's anything that you don't really have an emotional attachment to, if there's anything that you're thinking of selling, sell that particular item and utilize those gains and invest in an index-based mutual fund. Because right now, equities have fallen. Equities are stocks, if you don't know that term. Stock market has fallen. Therefore, you can dollar cost average into something like an S&P 500 index fund or a total stock market index fund. You guys that are like my age, 45, maybe even you're 50, hell, maybe you're 20s or in your 30s watching this particular YouTube channel. You guys will do well over the next 10 to 20 years if you have that long to wait. That's what I recommend. Be smart financially. Collectibles will always be here, guys. I assure you, collectibles and antiques, this market isn't going anywhere. It's going to go through peaks and valleys. Certain collecting markets are going to disappear over time. That always happens. Other markets are going to prop up in their place and they're going to grow. Understand, you only get one shot at making a decent life for yourself. Instead of risking it on stupid items that you may be emotionally attached to, try to better yourself financially during these hard times. Think smart, invest smart, spend smart, and you will become successful. Thanks for watching and have a great night.